It is Alito Day 2.0. I hope you guys are ready. We have got some delicious things to talk about because, of course, they're doomed to failure because they're gun control apparati. But we're going to have a great time talking about it. And before we get into anything, Tim, listen, you're important to me. How are you before we get into this? I want to know how you're doing.
I'm doing good. I mean,
That's
minus
good.
the technical difficulties this morning, I'm doing great.
Minus that? But you, though. But you, solid. We're ready. We're primed. We got coffee on
Yes.
board. We got caffeine on board.
No, I have caffeine-free
well.
root beer this morning, but, you know.
I can't guarantee anything, people of the Second Legacy. I can't guarantee anything, but we're going to try anyway. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. And we are going to talk about 1,000% excise tax on all your firearms because that's just what you need to be priced out of your rights, according to a lot of Democrats in the Senate and the House. Now, this content is brought to you by LAS Concealment. We're going to say a quick word, and then we're going to hit this. And the content today is brought to you by LAS Concealment. And if you're in the market for a holster for your favorite freedom tool, LAS Concealment is worth a look. They have everything that you could imagine, all molded from Kydex to your said freedom tool. Everything is fit directly to that model for a superior comfort and safety. They have inside and outside the waistband options, multiple designs, all sorts of different colors, and they are tested by the world's most elite special forces. Make sure you check it out. There's a link in the description box below, and thank you so much to LAS Concealment for making this content possible. All right, so let's get into this. Tim, I know how this one's make you feel. It's gonna make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I feel
I love being taxed.
I love
Taxes
it.
are my friend. Yeah.
I love it. It's so good, especially when it's 1,000%. Because really, Tim, the only thing in reason that you would want to do this is really boiling it down. You'd want to price somebody out of their rights to curtail gun ownership. That's the only reason.
That certainly seems to be the case. It's like, hey, you have the right to free speech, but it's going to cost you $10 million.
Yeah, but you still have the right, though.
Like, I think we've been through this once before.
Yeah. With something about representation and voting apparatus. I'm pretty sure this has been illegal many a year. I think. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, and taxing rights has been addressed by the Supreme Court just after the turn of the century back in 1900. But that was with regards to a newspaper and a tax that was levied against the newspaper. But the Supreme Court decided in the decision, they said you cannot tax a constitutionally protected right. Yet here we are doing it. So why don't we challenge it? This would be a perfect. But see, if they do this and we take it to the Supreme Court, we should not only go after this, but we need to go after the NFA because it also is a tax on a right. So it would be great if this somehow unraveled the NFA. It won't, but I mean, it's nice to dream.
It is. You know what? I like dreams, Tim. I enjoy the dreams. You've always been a dreamer. You've always been a wild-eyed dreamer, Tim. But, with NFA taxing, it's so funny because you just opened the door. Before we even get into this is great. It's true, though, because people keep on kicking open these doors like the Kool-Aid man, being like, oh, yeah, control. But then they don't really realize that the more they do this kind of stuff, the more it brings attention to things that they're like, we already got this. Shut up. Don't talk about this. Because the NFA is a tax on your rights. That's it. It's a tax. It's a complete tax. So if you're going down this road of 1,000% excise tax, you can't tax rights because that's extreme. Well, what's that other thing in the room? What you got over there that's collecting dust for 80 years? What's that? Let's talk about that. They will undermine their stuff every time. But you know what? Enough of the setup, Tim. Let's bring the people into what we're talking about. Let's dive in. Mr. Producer, this is number one. Democrats demand a 1,000% excise tax on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Democrats failed to move the same idea when they controlled the House last year. And as a little bit of a reminder, they threw this out there at the exact same time they threw out H.R. 1808, the assault weapons ban of 2022 that Nancy Pelosi crammed through the House and then failed in the Senate. This is not a new idea. But the big thing that I want to bring forward on the table is they are trying to price people out of their rights. The Democrats, the people who say big pharma, big corporations, big money, it's all evil. The gun lobby, money influences all the votes. You're taking money out of the pockets of the everyday people to defend themselves because you don't like a gun. I think you're on the wrong side here.
1,000% tax, I mean, to a juror or to a judge doesn't seem outrageous. I mean, we always levy 1,000% taxes on things. That doesn't look like punishment or, going after people politically and trying to push through an agenda. That doesn't look like any of that. I mean, sometimes you just wake up and you go, we really should pay more in taxes. How about 1,000%? That sounds good. And next year we'll do another 1,000%.
It'll be great. It'll be fantastic because, like you said, 1,000%, it's reasonable. It's common sense. You know how they love common sense. So common because, people are they've really had it too good, Tim. They're used to paying 7% sales tax. Pfft, come on. This is for safety.
Yeah. Look at the last couple of years. We're getting used to this, right? Because we've had gas quadruple in price, and milk double and triple in price, and eggs double and triple in price. And why not just, up the cost of owning a firearm 1,000%?
I'm sorry. Was that a subtle dig at Bidenomics? It's working for everybody, Tim. You didn't know?
Everybody's so much better off. People are going for third and fourth jobs, and it's just great. We're booming as an economy.
Through the roof. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we're onto something here. And in fact, I'm just going to throw this out there. We'll come back to it, I'm sure. Maybe this is one of the schemes like you were talking about that they had with France with the belt feds where they were violating open laws in France for revenue generation. Maybe that's what we're dealing with here. Man,
that's all this is.
You are a paragon.
It's just a simple way of getting gun owners to pay off the national debt.
There you go. Paragon of wisdom. Well, let's continue, Mr. Producer. This is number 2. So this isn't just one person. This is more than 24 House Democrats put forward legislation Friday that would slap assault weapons and high-capacity magazines with 1,000% excise tax, a change that would raise the price of a $500 weapon to $5,000 in a bid to reduce access to guns across the country. I love when they come out and say it. I do love when they drop it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's just throw it in there. Why are you doing this? Well, is it to generate revenue? No, we can print whatever we want. Oh, then why are you doing it? Well, obviously to stop gun purchasing. Duh.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of when Illinois is trying to pass laws to put taxes on ammunition and stuff like that. They go, well, we're going to use that money to pay off all the medical expenses of all the people wounded by firearms in the city. And you know what they would actually do with the money? They throw it in a general kitty, and it would go to some handout program or to fuel the endless construction of highways in the city. And that's where the money would go. Yeah. They totally lied, but here they actually came out and said, the only reason we're doing this is just so you won't buy guns.
Yep. And that's the best part. They don't even say in this little proposed bill that, it's going to go to... They don't even do that on this one, Tim. They just go, nope, to curb gun ownership. And the thing that kills me, and I constantly go back to this this affects the people at the bottom of the economic spectrum, the people who need the protection the most, who may not live in the gated communities that these dill holes live in. These are the people who need it the most, and you're going to tax people out of their rights because you don't like a gun right. Who's for the little people?
What do you want to bet that government agencies, police officers, all that are exempt from this tax?
No, Tim, are you implying special treatment? They would never.
Yes. We're going to have to create another 2-tier system. We already have one for the Justice Department. We might as well just go ahead and do it in the gun community. Let's just make a 2-tier system.
You're creating more jobs. You're creating
the haves
more
and the
jobs.
have-nots.
That's what you're doing. Yeah. You're creating more jobs and you're solving the national debt. Dude, they should talk to you. You've got ideas. I'm liking where you're at. Well, let's continue here. So number 3, Mr. Producer, this is just so packed full of goodness. The text of Bayer's new bill was not out as of the weekend, and it was unclear if any changes were made to his 2022 version. That's the one I told you earlier. His bill from last year imposed the tax on any magazine or related device that can accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. What's a related device?
What's a related? Great minds think alike. I'm thinking, what is that? A magazine loader? Is that a box that holds the ammunition? We're going to tax that. What are we talking about?
Is that like the mag loaders? Like what? Like the little plastic mag loader? Ooh, that's not good. Or maybe it's that board where you put the rounds on and you just put the magazine and you just slam it in. I don't remember the name of that thing. What's that thing called?
Me either. I have one somewhere.
You know what I'm talking about. But maybe that's what they're talking about. Maybe. But they're just trying to solve the world's problems, Tim. Just trying to solve the world's problems all day. Yes. But they should have just talked to you, man. You're on fire with the national debt and the gun ownership. And
we can fix it all. All we got to do is 1,000% tax gun owners.
I tell you what, it is so good. While we're at it,
gun owners are such patriots.
Yeah, absolutely. And then paying taxes is patriotic duty because that's clear. That's something. I think Biden said that, didn't he? I think that was Biden before he was what he is now. And I meant president, by the way, YouTube. I meant president. I meant president. You can't get me in trouble. All right. So now let's continue because we got to actually break down because there's a little bit more stuff here. This is so excellent. The same 1,000% tax would be imposed on any semi-automatic weapon. Wait, hold on. Oh, I missed a word. Semi-automatic assault weapon, Tim. Interesting.
So if you buy a semi-automatic non-assault weapon, Then it doesn't apply. So what is an assault weapon? Have we gotten back to that? Have they defined that?
Maybe those scary features you were talking about. Remember that drawing you did in one episode? Maybe that's what, that's what it was. They should just ask you more. That was a great drawing. But no. So a semi-automatic assault weapon, that's like a Glock, of course, which last year's bill defined as a semi-automatic rifle or pistol with a fixed magazine of 10 rounds or more and that have other various features. How broad and vague can you possibly get on this? So if I can drop the mag, are we good? Can I just drop the mag and then we're good? It's not an assault weapon anymore?
No, wait a minute.
Because magazines are...
Wait a minute. Are they saying a 10-round fixed magazine?
Well, I mean, let me read it again for the people. In very astute observation, Tim. You're on it. Which last year's bill defined as a semi-automatic rifle or pistol with a fixed magazine of 10 rounds or more. Now, hold on a second. This could totally be not in the bill, and this could be an error on the article. So we'd have to dive in to confirm that.
Because
it's got to be an error on the article because there's no way on this green earth they'd go, but only fixed magazines, because then every American would go, okay, I'll just detach my magazine. We're good.
Comes a 10-round magazine from my SKS and in goes the 30-round mag conversion.
We're all good. We're all good. It's not an assault weapon because it's not fixed. Yeah, I'm going to chalk that one up to an error in the editing process because this person doesn't seem to know what they're talking about.
Everybody talking about guns in the government or the media have no idea what they're talking about.
Not a lot. Not a lot. But yeah, so maybe that's it. So, I mean, you got the normal smattering of curbing gun violence, epidemic, scourge, how many, more buzzwords that they want to send out in their little email newsletters. So, and we're going to tie this together because I find this fascinating. You know how, Tim, we've talked about a few times where all these things happen in like unison. There's never like a vacuum where you have one thing over here, which is an ad hoc idea, like off the wall, where you're like, what is that? And then they just keep going about their business. There's always like a weird idea, then a weird idea, and then there's a normal idea where they're like, see, no, we just want rationality. We're not over there. This is crazy. Yeah. We would never do that, but this one.
You're talking about the rule of threes. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Overton window, depending on how fancy you want to get. Yeah.
I'll stick with the rule of threes. I'm from Kansas.
Oh, wow. Wow. Insulting the Kansians.
We don't do Overton windows. Yeah, we don't do
Kansians, yeah. Well,
we don't math. We don't do any of that.
We don't do that. Well, listen. This is why I introduced it this way. This is what Bayer's new bill says, and it coincides precisely and interestingly with this. Bayer's new bill was introduced a day after more than 100 Democrats told House Speaker Kevin McCarthy that they are disappointed that the House GOP leaders haven't moved any legislation this year to curb ownership in America. That's kind of like sending a letter last year in the House to Nancy Pelosi and being like, listen, I'm really disappointed you haven't moved on abortion. I really expect you to curtail it completely.
Yeah.
Like what?
We're really sad you haven't moved to curb it. Yes.
We had high expectations, McCarthy. We really thought you were going to do it, even though you have a vote of no confidence threshold of 1 now, and you do have a Republican majority and, around 16 to 17 members who are in the American or the Freedom Caucus. Well, actually, like 60 or something. It's an undisclosed number. And then you also have the Second Amendment Caucus. Like lots of caucus. We're disappointed. We really, really thought you could pull it together. We had high hopes. What planet do they live on? What planet do these people live on? It's just... Tim,
it's almost like everything they do and say is for show.
No,
almost.
You stop it right now. Are you saying it's not a genuine
all they're trying
concern?
to do is sway opinions, and they don't care about anything like rights or what's actually right, what's good for the country, what's good for people. It's all talking points and what can we sell you today in terms of a bill of goods?
The truth comes out. I knew you were man. I had such high hopes that they were being genuine. I really thought they were.
Braden, you don't need your rights. They're dangerous, okay? Let's just be reasonable here. Let's talk about this for a minute.
That's true. Wait,
just pay your 1,000% tax because it will save one life, and that's what we're about here. We just want to save one life.
But can I still have my abortion rights?
Yeah, don't worry about abortion. Those lives don't count.
That's not
those
important.
Are different.
They're not lives yet. Yeah. They're I think we reclassify them. Wait a minute.
It's only a life if you heard it screams, and we don't hear any screaming, so it's not a life.
So it's okay. Well, that's so weird, Tim. Hold on. We may have just stumbled upon something. The GOP needs to get on this. So. You redefine life, so it's not killing a life in abortion. You redefine terms in an ATF existing law so you can get more gun control. It's almost like we might be onto a pattern, Tim, of redefining things through executive bureaucracies and politicians so that you could infringe upon your rights without using Congress through an overbearing and assaulting bureaucratic state. Is that it? Did we crack the code, Tim?
Maybe. I just want to pay my 1,000% tax.
Oh, you are so patriotic. You are.
I want that $500 PSA AR for $5,000. What a bargain.
Oh, that's true. You know, you better get it now before they institute a $2,000, because you never know when more common sense might come right after.
Yes, common sense has a way of just flowing from the Democrats, doesn't it?
Just keeps coming around in a circle until pretty soon it's like, oh, that's a $40,000 tax. What? Yeah, it's for safety, though. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't need those rights anyway. Hey, can we maybe talk about back in the day, Tim? I don't know why. I just feel like the need to say this. You remember back in the day when people were voting and you had to pay money through a poll tax, and you had to actually guarantee some sort of ownership of land? It was almost like they curtailed the ability of every individual to vote, and they only wanted the affluent to vote and have that right. I'm pretty sure that was ruled unconstitutional, illegal, immoral, and disgusting. But now they want to do it with gun rights. Isn't that weird how that moral sliding calculator just kind of goes out the window?
You know, the Jim Crow laws and things like that are no different than what we were talking about with regards to taxing rights, right? So we already have the Supreme Court saying you can't tax a newspaper because that's freedom of speech. You have the Supreme Court saying you can't tax polls because everybody has a right to vote, which is, a right. And now you want to tax gun ownership. Well, if we take a look at everything else the courts have said over the last few hundred years, we would conclude that, this is not legal or constitutional.
At all.
But hey, we're anti-gunners and we don't care. We're just going to push it through anyway.
You know what? That should be the T-shirt.
1,000% tax and we'll take one arm.
That should be the T-shirt. They don't need to fundraise through the government. They just make that T-shirt. I mean, just say it out loud. We're the anti-gunners and we don't care.
And we don't care.
I think
1,000% tax on your right arm and you can own anything you want.
You know what?
Or if you're left-handed, your left arm. Yeah.
Maybe that's right. We don't discriminate. Maybe that's what was on the coffee mug for the ATF agents when they opened up the letters from FBC in the email. Maybe that's what maybe it wasn't world's best ATF agent. Maybe it was we're a gun controller and we just don't care. Maybe that was the mug. Maybe.
Could have been.
You never know. You never know. But you know what? I think we've landed this plane, Tim. I feel good. Do you feel good about this? I think we covered all the angles here.
I think through, just sheer mockery, we've pretty much, cast a light on this proposed bill. I'm guessing it's going to go nowhere.
Not at all.
Antics. These are election year antics. These are the Democrats out there saying, look, we're trying to do something, but these obstructionist Republicans are just standing in our way. We want to save one life, and they don't want to save that one life. Yeah, that's all this is. It's grandstanding, but that doesn't mean you should not contact your representatives. You should always contact your representatives when things like this materialize, because they're going to introduce this, which means it could go, once it comes out of committee, if it gets out of committee, then it goes for a vote. And we want to make sure that our politicians understand, you vote for this, we're kicking you out. You're going home. So with all that being said, folks, if you'd like to be part of the Second Legacy, we do have a call-in show. There will be a link in the video description below. Follow that link and we'll get you on the show. Have a great conversation. Until then, we'll talk to you guys soon.